Hello, Ben Mize here, and I wanted to talk about this crisis we're having with open borders in the first world. And it's, what I see as the main problem is America has enough trouble being vigilant about who they vote into office without opening the borders to 600 million voters who vote according to the way their governments seem to work for massive corruption and don't notice when they're being lied to. I mean, it's not that Americans are perfect about that either, but I think we're better at it. And see the real issue with 600 million people coming into America to vote for corrupt people and not noticing they're being lied to as badly as South American countries have proven they vote for corruption, is that will probably go right into this agenda to get rid of the American military so that corrupt governments like I think communist China and whoever else can use their nuclear arsenal and steamroll over the free world and give us the satanic one world government is what I am afraid of is the whole desire of the elite in having open borders. And it's not that I want to hate the third world or whatever. I'd like to see it be lifted up. And the way to do that is to take smart people and fund them so that they can teach the third world how to get it right or how to get it better. Politically, as far as the religious duty to be vigilant against corruption and put the devil worshippers on trial for having a religion of genocide and then encouraging education. Speaking of which, we've got a lot of issues in America that we're getting to be just as unvigilant as the third world. We're not there yet, but we really let things go. And so, building the wall and keeping failed voters out is not going to be the ultimate solution, but I guess it would help. And but the first world has lots of abilities to lift up the third world and invest in them with patents and money and education and get them put to work at an educated job at a fair wage and making enough production to, we could solve pollution if we had all those people working and had that much production and that much money, because we've got the technology to get rid of pollution. It's just for one, if we had more production in the world, we'd have more spare cash to use that technology. Just like America is a lot cleaner than a lot of the other poor countries, because we've got the money to put the filters on the smokestacks and things like that. Not that they do it perfectly, because Americans aren't vigilant and we don't keep track of our government, who's gotten corrupt, and there's a lot of things we do that need to be cleaned up really bad. but yeah, I think that if we let 600 million people come into America and come into Europe that aren't properly educated about corruption, and they just bring all their old habits with them, you can look at the countries they come from. They vote for corruption. They don't notice when they're being lied to. They don't notice when they're being promised little goodies in exchange for criminals being elected. Doesn't work. And what a way to use Christian compassion to destroy ourselves. Because you can be so compassionate that you starve to death, or many other things. And the Illuminati and the devil worshippers are all about teaching the rest of us too much and too little. Either too much compassion so we wreck ourselves, or too little compassion so the world doesn't work. Because you always have people that make mistakes, and if we don't have compassion, they have too hard a time. It's not that they don't need difficult lessons being learned, but the world will be so cruel that we should soften the lessons enough that they understand hard work and planning and getting an education, and but we do need to soften how hard people fall when they fail, a lot of the time, not all the way. And it just depends on how stubborn people are. You gotta soften that fall, but tell them that if they don't work and better themselves, then they're just going to fall all the way. So they have that choice again. Because by the time you become homeless, it can be real tough to get back. To get back to a working livelihood. There's probably ways to do it, and Christians need to have compassion and fund organizations that teach people how to get off the streets and get working again. Because it's but I think people are more and more, with what I've heard about different energies coming into our planet from God, people are more and more waking up spiritually, and people are beginning to just know when they're being lied to. So maybe it's not as much of an issue as it has been, but I still don't think we're ready to let the whole of South America come into Europe, and the whole of America and the whole of Africa come into Europe. I don't think people have become that vigilant yet. And it's the West's duty to at least get on social media and at least use a free translating software and talk to the people in the third world about being vigilant about who they vote for, and investigating corruption as citizen journalists, and speaking out about it. And that you gotta teach them, give me liberty or give me death. That's how the West got all the goodies it's got now, is we fought the corruption to the death. And if we hadn't done that, nobody'd have all these blessings. And that's just what the third world has to be taught, is to lawfully fight corruption to the death. And that's better than living in the pit, in the ditch. But so, as always, we've got to pray to God and Jesus every day, badger them all day long about begging to be guided as to what we're supposed to do personally. Because there's a lot of corruption out there, and it'll overwhelm us, the world, and give us a satanic one world government if we don't push back against it. And God helps those who help themselves do the right thing. And I know they'd have killed me long ago if it weren't so. They've tried. God wouldn't let them. So, and you know, support the truthers. They need your tithe if they're preaching the weighty matters of God's law, and especially the part about opposing corruption. You need to find some truthers online and support them. Support them as much as you can. You got to save for your rainy day, but you need to be on a budget so you can afford to pay the bills to keep God in the country. And get on social media and tell the truth. Get in the comment boxes and give them the 10 Commandments, repent or die, and conspiracy theory, government documents. And the 2 greatest commandments: love God with all your being and love your neighbor as yourself. And and we've just got to repent so as to change our thoughts and deeds, so that we no longer lay down for the devil and let him do whatever he wants to the little ones. And we've got to start opposing him, and opposing all this corruption, and finding out, researching things well, and spreading that information, and taking what legal action we can after we get some lawyers that want to work pro bono for the country. And we need to wage a paper campaign of voting, suing, talking, taping index cards with printed information to people's doors. And just thinking about how to be effective against the people, getting people to repent, and against the devil and its minions that are providing so much corruption in this world. So pray and think, and wise and love well. God bless.